All right, so welcome to Not Your Daughter's Yoga on February 1st, 2022. Holy cow, time flies. It's a cold one today, so we'll do some stuff that'll help build a little bit of internal heat, but also leave us feeling, the warm fuzzies, feeling good, feeling loose, feeling relaxed. So you can head to your mat, lay down on your back, your choice, spread out, take up lots of space, or you can plant your feet below your hips, a little wider than hip width, and then allow your knees to relax in towards each other, providing a nice support for each other to allow you to come into a restorative resting pose. And once you're there, you can just allow your eyes to become soft or close your eyes. And just notice where you are in space and time. You've come to your mat. This is a safe place for you to attend to and take care of your needs, to be vulnerable, to try new things, to just be. So remind yourself that that is the mission, and that for the next hour and 15 minutes, everything else can just wait until you are done your yoga. And once you've sort of framed yourself mentally, then you can turn your attention towards your body. And I just want you to take a scan over your body and just notice how things are feeling today on this morning. You've never been in your body before on this particular morning. So just take the time to notice without judging how you're feeling. There will probably be areas that are feeling relaxed, that are feeling soft, that are feeling lots of potential, energy, and perhaps other areas where you're feeling a little conservative. Maybe you're holding back a little bit of tension, and you're just noticing, you're not judging, just noticing how that all feels at this moment in time. To observe without judgment is massively difficult for humans, but it's a challenge that we want to set out for ourselves, particularly as it applies to how we exist in our own bodies. And once you've had a chance to just do a self-check-in, now we can begin working on the breath. So eyes are soft. I want you to empty your lungs and then inhale. You're slowly going to begin filling your lungs from the bottom, slowly to the top, like you've got two big old oxygen tanks, filling them up. Once you get to the top, holding for a moment and then sighing it out. And as you sigh your breath out, you can picture other things leaving with your breath. Tension, busyness from your morning before yoga, just effort that isn't needed here. Just let it go. So again, nice big breath in, holding for a moment at the top, and then exhale, letting stuff go, stuff that you don't need, stuff that isn't serving a purpose any longer. Physical effort, because right now you're laying down, so you don't need to try. One more big inhale. Make it the biggest one yet. Going all the way to the top, holding that breath for just a moment, and then sigh and let go. Release. And perhaps you can already begin to feel a little bit of a discernible difference in your body. Perhaps just a few deep breaths already started triggering a parasympathetic response. Maybe you're feeling a little softer, or at least feeling a little refreshed. And we can begin to take control of our breath and modify it to suit our yoga practice. So inhaling through the nose, pausing for a moment at the top, exhale through the nose. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Pause. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Pause. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Pause. And exhale. 2, 3, 4. Pause. I want you to find the rhythm that works in your body. So it could be a little faster or slower than what I've suggested. Just settle into a rhythm. Once you find it, I want you to put all of your focus just on your breath. So making it deep, making it smooth, holding for a moment, and then exhaling. And you might want to add in a little swirling of breath at the back of your throat called NYDY breath. You may wish to add that in. Not strictly necessary, but something that can feel very enjoyable, particularly on a cold morning, because it allows us to hold on to a little bit of heat. So breathing in a way that is smooth and sustainable. Just a nice back and forth. Inhale. Exhale. Bring your entire concentration on that. Take a few more rounds of breath, just focusing on the quality of that breath. And we're going to continue to breathe and just invite in some gentle movement. So as you're still on your back, you might wish to take a big stretch. Perhaps stretching long on your inhale. And then bringing it in on your exhale. And again, inhale, you could stretch out. And exhale, you could retract a little. You can add in some gentle wiggling of fingers and toes. And then remaining on your back. If your legs aren't outstretched already, I'll ask you to outstretch them. So getting long on an inhale, you can also reach overhead. And on an exhale, you're going to gather yourself up into a little ball. So squeezing your head in the direction of your knees, squeezing your knees in the direction of your armpits. So getting tiny, exhale. And then on your inhale, you can stretch long again. And we're going to hug the right knee up toward the right armpit. So just taking a hold of the right shin with the hands, squeezing that knee in the direction of the armpit, enjoying a nice gentle hug. And then I'll ask you to draw that right knee out toward the side, opening the hip flexor a little bit. And then hugging the knee back in. You can take a hold of your right thigh with your hands. You could intertwine your fingers behind your thigh or otherwise just take a hold of it. Inhale here. Exhale, we're going to push that right heel up toward the ceiling. Your leg does not have to come anywhere remotely near to straight. So nice bend in the knee. And then as you push that heel up to the ceiling, peel your toes back so you've got a nice flexed foot. And then we're going to switch back and forth between pointing and flexing. So maybe on your inhale, you point. Exhale, flex. Inhale, point. Exhale, flex. Just going back and forth a couple more times. And when you're feeling ready, take circles with that ankle. So just rotating the foot, taking it nice and slow, coordinating that movement with the breath. And when you're feeling ready on one side, then you reverse the motion, take it in the other direction. And bring it back to center. We'll gently hug that right knee toward the right armpit again. And then we'll switch legs. So sending the right leg long, hugging the left knee in toward your torso. And then bringing it out to the side. You might use your hand to encourage the hip opening a little. You can even just use the weight of your hand on the inside of the left knee. Bringing the knee back in, we'll take a hold behind the left thigh and then push that left heel energetically up toward the ceiling. Super flexed foot, so your toes are peeling back toward you. And then we'll begin the point and flex, nice and slow. Inhale and point, exhale and flex, point, flex. Just taking it with your own breath here. And then you can begin to take circles with that ankle. Again, nice and slow. I know I'm sometimes surprised by how such a little motion can generate such big sensation. But I know that for me, ankle circles, there's a lot of reward there because, well, there's a lot of feeling that goes in the ankles and feet. It's nice to pay a little extra attention to what's going on there. And when you're feeling good on that side, hug that left knee back in again toward the left armpit. And then you can send that leg long on the mat as well. Bring your right arm overhead and gently roll yourself over onto your right side. You can just pause there for a breath or two. And then gently bring yourself up to a seated position. Well, as you come up, your choice, you could sit in a comfortable cross-legged position, or you may wish to sit with your legs extended out in front of you, whichever works best for you. Once you come up, scoop out the flesh from under your sits bones so that those bones at the top of your thighs, where they meet your hips, are really firmly in contact with the ground. Your hands can rest at your side or on your lap, and shoulders are down away from the ears. You're sitting nice and tall. On the inhale, gently tilt your chin up and gaze upward. Exhale, bring the chin down to the chest. Inhale, gaze up, noticing your range of motion, respecting that range of motion. Exhale, chin comes down. And inhale, bring the chin up one last time. Exhale, bring it down and slowly take circles with the head and neck. Your choice of direction. Whichever direction speaks to you first. I know I have a way of doing it, and I always take my circles to the left first. And when you're feeling like you've worked stuff out on that side, take it in the other direction. Again, keep it nice and slow, moving with the breath. And you can bring your head back to center. Take your left hand down to the mat, walk it out to the side. Right arm reaches up and over. Keep that left sits bone, or your right sits bone, plugged into the mat, and your arm is moving dynamically up and over in the opposite direction. So really getting a big stretch through the rib cage. Breathe into it, expand those ribs even more. One more breath. Exhale, coming upright. You can bring the right hand down, walk it over. Left arm stretches up and over, keeping that left sits bone in contact with your mat, and then using the breath to really expand the ribs. And exhale, coming back up to center. I want to do a little bit of work today with the strap. So hopefully you have your strap nearby. If not, you can run and grab it. If you don't have your strap, you could use a belt or just a piece of fabric. So we're going to take this strap and we're going to hold it out in front of us. And I want you to keep your arms wider than shoulder width apart. Give it quite a lot of slack here. So take those arms out wide. On the inhale, we're going to bring our arms up overhead. On your exhale, extend your arms behind you. And you're going to start to feel a stretch through the front of your shoulders. And you can hang out right here at the top of the stretch. Maybe you have the option to bring the arms back behind you. If you're feeling like you're almost there, but not quite, adjust your grip on the strap so that your arms are a little bit wider. And then you can attempt lowering them. It may or may not happen. All that matters is that you're getting a good stretch through the shoulders. So inhale it back up and then exhale it down in front of you. So depending how that felt for you, you may want to adjust your grip on the strap. You may want to bring it in a little, bring it out a little. Inhaling again, taking the arms up overhead. Exhale, strap comes back behind you. Maybe you're just hanging out. Maybe it comes all the way down. Doesn't matter. On the inhale, bring the arms back up again. Exhale, bring them down in front. And one last time. So adjust your grip accordingly if you so desire. And then inhale, arms up. Exhale, extend back. Maybe this time you've moved your hands in and you actually don't have room to go back and you can just hang out here. So exhale. On the inhale, bring those arms back up overhead. Exhale. Bring them down in front. Beautiful. If your legs aren't already outstretched, I'll ask you to stretch them out now. And we're going to flex the feet so the toes are very active. You can really bend your knees here, and we're going to bring the strap around the balls of the feet, and then you can extend the legs again. So we're extending the legs straight, and we've got a hold of our strap. What I like to do is take both ends of the strap in one hand. I'm going to sit up really nice and tall. And I always think about going up and then diagonally out rather than just trying to fold forward. So I'm thinking about getting tall, going up, and then I'm just going to gently walk my hands down the strap. You might just come a little bit, a few degrees forward, or you might have a little bit more room. Just come to a place where you begin to feel engagement. I know I'm feeling this in my lower back and through the backs of my legs. So you're just starting to feel that. And again, noticing without judgment. Just playing with greeting that sensation. Breathing into it. On your exhale, you can release. And then we'll set up for a twist. So you can plant your left foot. We're going to leave a bit of fist width between the leg and the foot. Make sure that that right leg is brought up and in. So if your leg is kind of hanging out, if your toes are kind of hanging out to the side, rotate your femur so that your right foot is directly upright. You can bring your right hand to the outside of the left knee. Left hand comes behind. Inhale, as always, thinking about getting tall, and then exhale. You can slide into this twist. See if you can relax into it. So check in with the head and neck. Make sure that you're not leading. And then try and see the twist in your mind is starting right at the base of your spine. And then with each breath, picture yourself getting a little warmer, and a little softer, and a little meltier. One last breath. And we'll come forward and we'll switch legs. So left leg goes long. I've been speaking French most of today and the switch is not going very well at all. So fist width between the free leg and the planted foot. Toes are pulled back toward you. Bring the left hand to the outside of the right knee. Right hand straight behind you. Inhale, think about getting tall. Exhale, twisting toward the right. And again, check in with that head and neck. I really have a habit of trying to crank my head around. So I always have to remind myself the twist is coming from the base of my spine. Exhale into it, get a little meltier. Last breath. And on your exhale, you can unwind and we'll bring our feet around the side and come on to our hands and knees. If your strap is still out, you can just set that off to the side. So coming on to hands and knees, knees are directly below your hips. Wrists are below your shoulders. Unless your wrists are bothering you a little bit, in that case, set your hands a little further forward. And we'll come into our cat and cow. So on your inhale, drop your belly, pick up your hips, and then let your neck get really long and gaze forward. Maybe you want to gaze up, but that's just optional. Inhaling here. On your exhale, let's reverse it. So really exaggerating the shape. Hips come down, head comes down, really pushing up between those shoulder blades. Inhale, gonna bring it through to cow. Exhale, coming to cat. Taking it nice and slow and really enjoying the feeling of each one of your vertebra. Just moving. The joy of moving just for the sake of movement. Kind of like art, just for the sake of making art. You don't have to have a reason. Exhaling, really let your head become heavy and drop down when you come into cat. Take 2 more rounds with your own breath. If you want to add in some funky stuff, some hip rolls, some lateral movement, you are totally free to explore that. The spine can move in 6 different directions, so nobody said you only had to stick to 2. And when you're finished, you'll come back to a neutral tabletop position. I'd like you to walk your hands forward, nice and slow. We're really going to walk them forward, even ahead of where we would in modified downward facing dog. So once they get out far, you can just slide them. And I want you to open your chest toward the ground. Let your head and neck relax. We're coming into puppy here. And puppy dog is gonna look different in everyone's body, but the commonality here is that you want to open your heart toward the floor, but let the head and neck relax. So really big stretch here. And then we're going to bring the hands back in, turn the toes under, and we'll take our modified downward facing dog. So not as big a movement as puppy dog, but hands are super strong here. So we're really gripping the mat, especially with the base of each one of your fingers. Heart is still opening. Toes are curled under. And you can use your knees to push in the opposite direction of your hands. So there's actually, you're not just hanging out on your knees, you're actually pushing the hands and the knees in opposite directions. So knees are pushing back, hands are pushing forward. Staying for a breath here. And then we'll all make our way up onto our feet at the top of the mat in a way that makes sense for us. And meet up in a forward fold. So feet are now hip width apart. Really nice bend in the knees here. So we're not locking the knees out, gentle bend in the knees. You can cradle one arm and the other, and then we'll gently just do some swaying, waking up the hamstrings, saying hello, ça va. Nice gentle movement here. Maybe you'd like a little more movement. You could add in some bounce. And then we'll take a hold of the shins. We're going to inhale, come halfway up to a flat back. So imagining that your back could become a table. Exhale, forward fold. We'll take those 2 more times. So inhale, coming up to flat back. Exhale, fold. 1 more time, inhale. Flat back. Exhale, fold. And then we're going to slowly roll all the way up to stand. So bend in the knees, gently coming up and feeling the spine stacking straight up. Shoulders are broad and the head comes straight up. So now you're standing tall like a tower. We're going to try something a little different today. It's a movement that I just sort of started doing and I was like, oh, okay, I like this. So let's give it a shot. So we're going to bring our arms out in front of us to shoulder height. Take an inhale. On your exhale, I want you to begin sinking toward the ground and bring your weight into your toes. So we're coming down slowly, similar to coming down into a squat, except the hips aren't coming open wide. So we're going to come down into a toe stand. If you like, you can bring your fingertips down. We're going to stay here for a breath. And then the challenge is to go back up again. So we'll bring our arms up and then slowly rise. So big power in the thighs here. Also testing the balance and then coming all the way up. So let's try that again. Inhale, think about getting tall. Exhale, sinking those hips down, taking it nice and slow, coming all the way down. So you might stay with your arms outstretched or bring the fingertips down. And then we're going to take it back up. So inhale, exhale, push up, slowly coming up to stand. Beautiful. If that one didn't work out, that's okay. I thought it was worth a try. Your mileage may vary, and don't get too upset if it wasn't feeling right in your body on this day. It might be enjoyable another day. So feet are now hip width apart, standing nice and tall, abdomen engaged. We're going to inhale the arms up overhead, bringing them slightly on a diagonal so that if you choose to gaze up, you're not really cranking your neck. So gently gazing up, exhale, gentle bend in the knees, hands coming all the way down. Inhale, hands come to the shins, coming halfway up, flat back. Exhale, hands come down, step both feet to the back of the mat, lower onto the knees and untuck the toes. So you're making a nice long plank shape from your shoulders back to your knees, nice straight plank. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, squeeze your elbows in and slowly lower yourself down. So thighs come down, hips, belly. If you're not me, you might have boobs. I don't really have those. And finally, your forehead. So inhale, head comes up, coming into cobra. You can levitate those fingers up. Exhale, forehead comes down. Turn the toes under, and then we're going to push back up into that plank. And then your choice, you could take downward facing dog from the knees, really powerful hands here, or you can hike your hips up and back, bringing your feet underneath you and coming into the standing version of downward facing dog. Whichever is working for you at this moment in time, head there, open your heart toward the ground, slow down your breath, and stay for 2 breaths. Exhale, and then you can make your way onto your feet at the top of the mat. And slowly roll all the way up to stand. Good work. We're going to come into warrior 2. So we'll start by taking it with the left foot forward. So bringing your hands onto your knees, your hips. Wow, Rebecca. Bring your hands onto your hips. Stand really nice and tall. On an inhale, I want you to bend both knees. And then on your exhale, I want you to step that right foot all the way to the back of the mat and position it so that that foot is parallel with the back edge of your mat. If you need to wiggle it back a little bit, so be it. Left arm comes straight forward, right arm comes straight back, and then lunge into that front leg. If you're finding that you don't have enough room, it's probably because your ankle needs to be further out. So if you feel like your knee's jutting out, move that left ankle forward so that you have room to lunge. Heading into warrior 2, we are strong warriors. We can add in some arm movement here. So inhale, draw forward, exhale, pull that bow back, adding in archer arms. Inhale it forward, exhale back. Option to follow with the eyes is only a suggestion. You don't have to. Inhale it forward. Exhale back. One more time. Inhale forward. Exhale, drawing it back. You can turn your head back forward if it was anywhere else. We're going to turn the left palm up, scooping the air up and back. So right hand comes down to the right leg. Left arm reaching high. Continue to lunge low in your front leg. We have the temptation to want to rise up here. So continue lunging low. Stay for a breath. Coming back to warrior 2 for a breath. And then on your exhale, I want you to rise up finally in that left leg. Inhale, reach the left arm as far forward as you can, and then rotate that hand down. So it could come to the thigh, the shin, the ankle, the floor, coming into triangle. Leave bends in both knees, so no locking the knees out. Right arm comes straight up overhead. So if your palm is turned towards the back of the room, turn your palm so that it's open. Once you're here, breathe. You could gaze downward to the side or challenge yourself by looking up toward your thumb, your choice. Find a place where you can just hang out for a few breaths. Big, powerful pose here. building some warmth on a cold day. And on your next exhale, we're going to put a big bend in that left knee. Rotate the left hand down. So both hands are going to come down to the mat. We're going to turn onto the right toes. And then I want you to take a hold of the right side of your mat and fold it so that you can have some extra cushioning for your knee. So bring the right knee down, untuck the right toes, and you can bring your hands up onto your left thigh. Make sure that you move your left foot out enough to the side that your knee and your foot are very clearly on two separate tracks. And then you can bring yourself upright. We're going to come into a lunge. So to help us do that, we're going to wiggle that left ankle forward again. If you would like to use your block for this, you can have it ready by your left instep. So we'll all start in the upright position here. Inhale, getting tall. On our exhale, sink your hips forward and down, letting gravity do the work here. And you can stay exactly like this if this is what you're needing today. Your next option would be to bring both arms to the inside of the left foot and come down onto the block. You could bring your hands down onto the floor. If you would like to explore coming into a full lizard version of lunge here, I'll ask you to please pick up the toes on your left foot and just move that left foot so that it's on a 45-degree angle. Then once your knee is protected, then if you wish, you can try coming onto your forearms. It's an option, definitely not an obligation. If you come down and you're like, not today, and just come back to one of our previous stops. Hang out, breathe, allow gravity to draw your hips down and forward. We're going to stay for one more breath. On your exhale, you can draw that left foot back, bring your hips back. We'll organize our mat and fold things here. Bring your knees mat width apart, hips back on your heels, and you can walk your hands forward, coming to a nice little child's pose for a minute here. We're going to stay for 2 breaths. So a chance to draw that breath long and smooth it out. And then after your second exhale, we're going to bring ourselves back onto our feet and meet up at the top of the mat again to take it on the other side. So again, feet are narrow hip width apart, hands are on hips. We're going to inhale to get tall. On your exhale, bends in both knees, big step with the left foot to the back of the mat. So that left foot is going to be parallel with the back edge of your mat, Wiggle your feet if you have to find the right positioning. So make sure that the right ankle is ahead of the right knee so you have room to lunge. Right arm comes straight forward, left arm comes straight back, lunging forward, coming into warrior 2. So we can add in the archer arms. Inhale forward. Exhale, draw back. Option to follow with the eyes. Inhale forward. Exhale, draw back. Inhale it forward. Exhale back. 2 more times. Inhaling forward. Exhale, drawing back. 1 last time. Inhale forward. And exhale, draw back. If your head is looking back, bring it back to look forward. Keep lunging low in the right leg. Turn the right palm up. Scoop the air up and back. Coming into revolved warrior. Stay for a breath. Exhale, come back to warrior 2 for a breath. Inhale, rise up in the front leg. Exhale, reach that right arm as far forward as you can, and then rotate that hand to come down to the thigh, to the shin, ankle, floor, whatever you need. Left arm straight up overhead, and your choice where you choose to let your gaze rest. Once you're there, just allow yourself to be strong. Focus on the breath. Allow a little heat to build to keep you warm on a cold day. One more breath. We're going to put a big bend in the right knee. Rotate that right arm down. Come on to the left toes. Sorry, left arm down, left toes. Bend over the left side of your mat. Bring that knee down. And then we're going to set up for the other side. Hopefully you're not like me and didn't set your block halfway across the room. But if you did, no worries. So bring your block by your right instep. Hands come onto the right thigh and bringing yourself upright. Make sure that that right ankle is well ahead of your knee. Inhale to get tall. Exhale, let the hips sink forward and down. Coming to the first stop on the hip opening journey. So option to bring both arms to the inside of the right leg and come onto the block or onto the floor. And if you so desire to go further, just make sure that you put your foot on a 45-degree angle and pick your toes up. This protects the knee. Then you are free to explore coming down onto your forearms into lizard. But again, never an obligation to go anywhere that's not working for you on this particular day. Moving the breath. Hip openers can invite really big sensation, and with that, really big emotion. It helps to just breathe into it and allow yourself to recognize what's going on. On your exhale, you can bring your hips back, draw your right foot back by your left, unfold the mat, and this time, your choice. You can take the regular child's pose, or if you like a little bit of a back relaxer, you can bring the knees together. Again, hips are on heels, walking the hands forward, forehead comes down. And if you wish, you can add in the prayer arms. So bringing the palms together and bringing the hands to the back of the head. And then I like to just walk my elbows forward a little bit and open my underarms in the direction of the ground. I still can't figure out the right way to word that. It's a minute little movement, but oh, I tell you, it feels great in the upper arms. So slowing the breath down, smoothing it out. Stay for one more breath. And then bring the hands forward. And again, bring ourselves onto our feet at the top of the mat in a way that makes sense for us. And coming up to stand. So you can orient yourself sideways on your mat so that you have room to move into a wide-legged forward fold. So start out with the hands on the hips, and we're just going to walk the feet out or shimmy them out, whichever works for you. So really make sure that you're pushing down at the outside edges of your feet, and that will help you, maintain a good grip while you're doing your forward fold. So getting really tall here. Exhale, hinge directly at your hips and bring your torso forward. Your hands could stay on your thighs or come to the shins, or you may prefer them to come down, maybe geez, I can't put my block anywhere in the right place today. Maybe your hands could come down onto your block. Whatever works for you. Once you come down, just check in with the feeling. You're technically in an inversion here. You don't have to be able to stand on your head to be in an inversion. Anytime your head is lower than your hips, you are in an inversion. So breathing into it. Drawing the breath long. One more breath. On your exhale, you can roll yourself up to stand. Hands can come to your hips, and then gently heel toe the feet in. And we're going to do our balancing practice. So if you'd prefer the assistance of a wall or a piece of furniture, you can head to that area now. Just going to set this off to the side. So setting up for our tree. Always make sure that our positioning is good. Anytime you do a balancing pose, particularly if you don't check how your alignment is or you rush into it, you're probably not going to get the best tree that you could grow. So feet narrow hip width apart, abdomen is engaged, standing tall. You can bring the hands to the hips. And I want you to choose a point 2 or 3 meters ahead of you. This is something that you can zone out on. You're just going to fix your gaze on that and let your gaze rest. And then we're gradually going to shift the weight over onto the left foot. So I'm mirroring you. Inhale the right leg up. Exhale that knee to the side, and then you decide where you want to place the free foot. So it could be thigh, shin, ankle, toes down, whatever works for you. Squeeze your bum to keep it there. And then hands can come to heart center. Zoning out with our eyes just on that one place. And then when you're feeling ready, explore growing your tree. And if you're not feeling ready for that today, that's totally cool too. You can remain a sapling. One more breath. Slowly bring the hands through center and then down to the hips. And then we can place the free foot down. Beautiful. You can shake out that standing foot and then we'll set up for the other side. So again, foot positioning, narrow hip width apart, standing tall, abdomen is engaged, and I've already started squeezing my bum too. I want total core engagement here. And transfer my weight onto the right foot. Inhale the free leg up. Exhale that knee to the side, and then place your free foot wherever you prefer. Thigh, shin, ankle, toes down. Squeezing the bum. Hands come to heart center. My gaze is gently resting. Perhaps not on the same spot, but again, I'm just kind of zoning out here. And then as you're feeling ready, see what kind of a tree you've got going on this side. And you can gently bring your hands back to center. Ooh. My balance is really off there. Yours is probably better. So gently bring your free foot down. Job well done. We all have our days that are a little trickier for tree than others. We're going to come into squat now. So if you would like to come down onto the block, you can bring the block underneath you. And if you would prefer to start from seated, which I think is where I'm going to start this week, is you can bring yourself down ahead of time. So if you're starting from seated, you can plant your feet a little wider than hip width apart, actually quite a bit wider than hip width apart. And you can bring your upper arms to the insides of your knees and then bring the hands into prayer. So if you're coming down from standing, your feet are out on a 45-degree angle, wider than hip width, gently lowering yourself down. Once you come down, you may want to shift around a little bit. Allow time to move into the hips, and then we will all meet up at the same place in our squat. So using the backs of the upper arms as encouragement, placing the hands into prayer provides that gentle encouragement for the hips to open. Finding a place where you can just settle in and breathe. You can observe what's going on in your body and then just allow yourself to sit with that sensation. Take 3 more slow breaths. Last breath. Beautiful. So if you're not all the way down, bring yourself down. Take the seat, and we'll bring the feet out further ahead of us. So knees are still wide. You can take one arm in the other or keep the hands down and just roll up onto the right hip. Come back through center and roll up onto the left and just go back and forth like this a couple of times, releasing that huge hip opener. And then we'll come back to center. Bring your knees together. You can keep your hands at the sides or you can bring them up in front of you. And then we're going to draw the shins parallel to the ground, coming into boat. You could flex your feet or point your feet. I find for a lot of people, it's easier for them to engage their abdominals if the feet are flexed. Big breaths. Stay with me for one more breath. And exhale. We bring the feet down in front of us. So your knees are still bent, feet are planted, sitting up nice and tall. And then bring your torso in the direction of your thighs. Your arms can come underneath you. And you can allow your head to relax forward to come into a really nice, soft, restorative forward fold. I like this position because I can really relax, but I can also feel my back ribs expand as I breathe into them. Nice full breaths. Just really allow the spine to relax. And then if you're happy here, stay exactly as you are. If you'd like a little more active forward folding action, you can just extend your legs long, peel the toes back, and then continue to fold. Again, letting the head and neck really relax here. Maybe noticing how the fold feels different than the one we did at the beginning of class. Breathing into it. With each exhale, you become a little softer. And you can roll up to sit. Plant the feet once again. Allow the knees to fall out to the sides And then we're going to sit up really nice and tall. So that this might be the extent of where you're going here, because this is, again, a nice big hip opener, but this time for the outsides of the hips. So coming up straight and then gently bringing yourself forward until you begin to feel that engagement. And again, you can allow the head and neck to relax. Imagining you've got some little lungs in the outsides of your hips here, and you can send your breath directly there. One last breath. Rolling up. And we're going to bring ourselves around. If you're oriented the wrong way on your mat, like I am, bring yourself around. Plant the feet ahead of you. Take a hold of the shins. Inhale, draw your chest forward. Take a nice back bend here. So gazing up, arching the back. And on your exhale, you can release. So spine comes back to a neutral position. Arms release, and then we're slowly going to lower ourselves down onto our back. So trying to do it slowly with control. And I'll invite you to just hug your knees up toward your armpits. So right knee towards right armpit, left knee towards left armpit. Just giving ourselves a nice little hug here. And while you're here, you can just roll gently on the lower back a little bit. And you can plant your feet. We're going to take a couple of rounds of bridge. You will want to have your block handy for the second round. So just starting with the feet planted below the hips. Hands are also down by the hips, palms down. Head is looking straight up. Inhale to prepare. On your exhale, push your hips up toward the sky. So doing our active version of bridge first. With each exhale, see if you can push your hips a little higher, using the power of your feet and the backs of your arms and your hands. So exhale, push higher. Exhale higher. One last breath. See if you can get it higher than ever. And release the hips down to the mat. Gently windshield wiper the knees back and forth a few times. Whew, that feels nice. And then we'll set up for our restorative version of bridge. So having your block ready by your hips, hands are planted down by the hips, head looking straight up. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, push those hips skyward. Now you can take your block and place it just above the top of your bum, but well below the middle of your back. So there's this nice kind of flat triangular area just above your bum. Aim to put your block there and then bring your back down onto the block. So I like to use the broad flat side of the block, but some people who enjoy a deeper back bend may wish to put their block on the shorter side, so it's a little higher. You have to be very careful with the positioning there so that your back is well supported, but maybe that's something you would enjoy. You could play around with it. And then once you find your happy place for your block of support, you can just allow yourself to relax into this lovely extension. And again, it's all about allowing yourself to just tune into your breath, observe how your body is feeling, observe the sensation, and just allowing yourself to sit with it. Drawing those breaths nice and long. Let's take 3 more slow breaths. And once you're ready to come off the block, take an inhale. On your exhale, push your hips skyward, nice and high. Remove your block, and then gently lower your hips down to the ground. And I'll invite you to, once again, hug the knees in toward your chest, right knee to right armpit, left knee to left armpit. And again, take a little rocking action here. Releasing that big lower back extension. And then we'll set up for a nice, deep, delicious twist. Not a deep, delicious pizza, a deep, delicious twist. So I'm going to use my block and put it over near-ish my left hip. I'll bring my arms out into a T and then cross the right leg over the left with no gap between the thighs. Pick up my hips ever so slightly. I'm just going to move them over an inch to the right. And then on my exhale, I'm going to allow my legs to relax over to the left. And I will use my block accordingly. So I want a deep twist, but I also want to allow my legs to relax. So I've got my block probably about 8 or 10 inches from my hip. And that allows me to support my legs, but still get a nice deep twist. The way you can observe whether the twist is working for you or not is if your right shoulder is rolling up off the mat, bring your block a little closer to your hip. And that way you can always make sure that that right shoulder stays planted on your mat. Very important. So once you find the twist that works for you, you can settle in for relaxation. If this twist is feeling really nice and you want to explore going further, you could turn your head to look over your right shoulder. Totally optional. If you do that and you find, not into it today, you just bring your head back to center. Coming into our twist. And once we're there, I want you to do much like we did with the seated twist at the beginning of practice. I want you to use your breath. And with each breath, I want you to try less and just let your limbs become more slack and heavy. Let gravity pull you down into the mat. And that's going to naturally deepen the twist. So less effort is more very often with twists. Stay for 2 more breaths. If your head is looking anywhere but center, bring it back up to center. Draw your knees upright, uncross the leg. You're going to straighten your hips back out. And if you're using a block, you can bring it over by your right hip this time. So arms come back out into a T or cactus arms, crossing the left leg over the right with no gap between the thigh. Bring the hips ever so slightly to the left, and then allowing the knees to relax over to the right. And again, making sure that that left shoulder stays pinned to the mat at all times. You may adjust your block to come closer to your hip for a less intense twist or further away to allow yourself to come deeper into the twist. Finding the block positioning that's right for you. And once you find it, you can allow yourself to relax. Again, you could explore looking over the left shoulder. No obligation, Just something you could explore. And once you found your twist positioning, just allow yourself to breathe, to let gravity softly pull you into the mat and softly pull you into the twist, letting go of resistance, just letting each breath smooth us out and soften us. I like to picture myself becoming really nice and warm and gooey, like a soft caramel. Nice, smooth breaths here. Staying for 3 more. Last breath. And if your head is anywhere but center, bring it back upright. Gently bring the knees upright, uncross the leg, and we'll straighten the hips. Draw both of your knees one last time toward your armpits. And so you can stay exactly like this and do a little rocking on the back. You could draw your feet toward the ceiling, bringing the arms between the legs, and you can take a hold of either your instep or your outstep, drawing your knees in the direction of the armpits once more, coming into happy baby or stirrup. And just taking a nice rock here. You could add in if you wanted to do a leg extension or take a brief shoulder stand, or maybe you just want to really take a really nice big stretch. Whatever works for you. And then gradually making your way into your version of Shavasana. So you could choose to have a rolled blanket underneath your knees. I know it's an empty space here, but you can picture that it's a rolled blanket. That can feel really nice. You can plant your feet wider than hip width, allow the knees to relax in towards each other to take a restorative version, or you can just spread out and take up space, whatever feels right. As you come onto the back, lift the hips off the mat and then settle them back down, leaving room for your lower back. Your arms could be at your sides or left hand over heart, right hand on the belly. As you make your way into your Shavasana, the first thing we want to do is just check back in with the breath. So we're going to take a really nice big inhale. Hold it for a moment at the top, and then exhale. Sigh it out. As you sigh, you're letting go again. And this time you're letting go of the effort and intention of your practice. You can let go of your Ujjayi breathing. Again, inhaling, really big breath here. Holding for a moment at the top. Exhale. Let your physical effort and intention go. And also the mental load that comes with checking your alignment, checking your posture, and let that go too. So one last big inhale, make it the biggest one yet. Hold for a moment. Sigh and exhale. Allow yourself to just enjoy the feeling of softness, the feeling of being passive, gravity gently pulling you into the mat, and you're not resisting, just allowing yourself to fall into a state of relaxation, letting your body have the time and space to absorb the benefits of your practice. So let yourself rest, and I'll be here to let you know when it's time to go. You can allow yourself to gently draw your consciousness back toward your body. Invite in a little bit of gentle movement, wiggling fingers and toes, taking a stretch, whatever feels right for you. Once you've taken some gentle movement, you can roll over onto your right hand side, pausing there for a moment, just gathering your bearings. And then gently bring yourself up to a comfortable seated position. And once you're there, sitting up nice and tall, you can bring your hands to heart center. Take an inhale and gently lower your chin. And I will leave you with an idea from Maya Angelou. Hate, it has caused a lot of problems in this world, but has not solved one yet. Thank you for joining me for practice today. It was a pleasure as always. Namaste.